Mayor Lloyd Winnicky here at Marina Point, where the LST 325 has called home since 2005. And we hope sometime soon the LST will move a little downriver to a new home on the Evansville riverfront. Well, I'm joined on board of the LST 325 now by board member Chris Donahue and operations manager John Engstrom. Guys, it's a hot day to be on the deck of the ship, isn't it?
Yeah, welcome to the World War II Navy.
John, is this your favorite time of year to be on the ship?
Oh, I love it, every minute of it.
Okay, we're going to start with Chris. Chris, this is an exciting time for the LST 325, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Very exciting. But anticipation of the mood, it's got us all in a really good mood down here, and look forward to it.
For people who have not been on the LST, what are they missing by not coming down and taking a tour?
They're missing a whole lot of history, and they can come on here and walk through it and feel it, especially during these days when people come on here and they're in true berthing and they feel how hot it is, and we say, well, this is how great Grandpa had it for 3.5 years as crew on here. So a lot of history, and it's unique. There's only one left.
Evansville has such a history with the war preparations and the wartime. It's important that young people know about our history, isn't it?
Yeah, it's critical, because if you don't know history, if you forget history, you're more apt to repeat certain things in history that shouldn't be repeated. So, yeah, knowing history is critical.
Chris is a key member of the board of directors, and John Engstrom is, as I mentioned earlier, the operations manager. John, so if someone's not been on the LST, what are they missing? What's down here?
They are missing a very important part of our World War II history. This ship was part of one of the greatest armadas ever assembled, June 6, 1944. This ship was at D-Day, and it landed troops on Omaha Beach. When you come down here, you're walking the decks of history.
It seems like as many times as I've been on the ship and been a part of the tour, I learned something new. What is one nugget of information about this ship that you think the average resident of the city of Evansville may not know that's really important?
Well, these ships, Evansville built 167 LSTs. That is the most of any cornfield shipyard up and down the Ohio. And there's 30,000 pieces and parts that go into building one of these. And when Evansville built these, the majority of the parts were manufactured right here in Evansville.
That is amazing. So many parts to be a part of a big ship like this. Again, it's been at Marina Point since 2005. Chris, as the city ponders the next move, as we approach the city council about an appropriation to move to the riverfront, what has been good about this location here at Marina Point over these last 13 years?
What's been good is that this ship was looking for a home, and it came down to 4 different places. 7 down to 4, and Evansville ended up winning unanimously because we got a lot of room out here for big trucks and so forth. That's a good part about it. We got a nice dock they built 14 years ago. And but as we've grown, one thing we do not have is pedestrian traffic and numbers. We almost break even in Evansville in our time in Evansville. But if it weren't for that annual trip we take, this year it's to Dubuque for 3.5-4 weeks. That's what puts us over and into the black. So my goal, if we move down there, would be to at least double and then some of what we're doing in Evansville. And because we may not be able to be always a static, it may be the day when we become a static display if something happens to the ship, major failure. And at that point, we've got to be solvent or we're going to have issues.
So the LST 325 attracts about 10,000 visitors a year at Marina Point, and as Chris said, we hope to double that, if not more, along the Evansville riverfront. So this is where we'd like the LST 325 to be, at the location of the former Tropicana riverboat. The new LST Visitor Center would go on this tract of land right on the Tropicana campus. Chris, why don't you come in here and tell me what excites you and the rest of the board members about this specific location?
Numbers. As I alluded to earlier, what we do not have down at Marina Point is numbers. Virtually zero pedestrian traffic. As we stand out right now, we're seeing cars going by, all the time. People running, walking, pushing strollers down here 365 days a year. There's people in the casino, all kinds of venues here. We expect military reunions to go up immensely because you have the venues here, you have restaurants, gambling, and whatever else you want. So that's the main thing. It's a numbers game. I'm on the board of directors of the 325, but I'm also a lifelong member of Evansville, and one of my goals is to keep it here forever. And if it's got a great home like this, that the odds of that happening is just a lot bigger.
The city and the LST has a great partner in Morley and Associates. They are a local engineering and architectural firm. They have been our consultant on this project. The project manager is Darren Morley. Darren, what has to happen at this site to bring the LST down here?
So what we're doing at this site here is we are readapting the existing equipment that Tropicana had to put in place. The ships work differently, the mooring systems work differently, but we can use a lot of the existing infrastructure that Tropicana has built and used over their history. In addition to that, with that readaptation, we're building a brand new visitor center right here on this site, as you mentioned earlier. And with that visitor center is going to include a gallery to show the history of the LST. It's also going to have a gift shop and their operations, as well as a nice area to start tours and really give a history of the LST, starting from the shipyards that are directly behind us through its history, its stellar history, World War II and on.
Definitely a large upgrade from what the LST has had in place since 2005. Let's talk a minute about the adaptive reuse of what Tropicana has left a lot of mooring equipment behind, allowing us to reuse it. If they didn't, we'd spend another $1.5 million or $2 million, wouldn't we?
Oh yes. The simple fact of what Tropicana has brought to the city and is leaving for our reuse instead of taking out helps this project immensely as far as budgets and also feasibility. It's an existing infrastructure, allowing us to work closely with the Army Corps of Engineers to bring the LST to this location. We are on a very tight bend of the river, one of the tightest navigable bends on the Ohio, and with the infrastructure here and the work that they've done in the past, it's going to make it immensely easier to do. In addition, those re-upgrades that we're doing are going to make the LST ADA accessible, so those veterans, the groups, are going to be able to go onto the deck where they've never been able to go on the top deck in recent years with the existing facilities. The visitor center is going to have a larger area to see the history of the LST. It's going to have a larger area for the operations to allow for them to grow and bring in more groups. So technically speaking, it's going to be a very nice facility. We get to use the piles, the mooring systems. We're going to reuse one of the existing bridges and the towers to get access to the ship, to provide year-round access for the LST group, as well as provide a system that the ship itself is a passive moored system, so that allows us to not have to maintain the ship 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can operate efficiently and effectively, which our system will allow that ship to raise and lower the 40+ feet that the Ohio does on a normal basis.
Sounds great. And once money is in place, once all the budget is secure, how long for the construction and the adaptive reuse of the mooring and gateway system?
With us going to City Council on the 13th, we feel pretty comfortably that through starting this fall with bidding and also construction and a positive construction season, hopefully for the winter months, similar to what we had last year, that'll allow us for the LST to move here early to midsummer of 2019.
Thank you very much, Darren Morley, who's the project manager for the potential move of the LST 325. Again, a potential move as early as next summer. And in the meantime, we encourage you to go down to Marina Point and visit the USS LST to get your glimpse into Evansville history.